Welcome to Piece of History.
So, today we're going to talk about a place you probably never heard of, but you absolutely should have. It's a prehistoric metropolis that might just flip your whole idea of the ancient world on its head. The name of this city? Kalibangan. All right, let me just throw this out there right at the start. What if I told you that a city from 4,500 years ago, yeah, that long ago, might have had better urban planning than the city you're in right now? I know, it sounds crazy, right? But stick with me because the proof is literally buried under sand. So let's get formally introduced. Meet Kalibangan. This was a major city in the Indus Valley civilization. It was built right on the banks of the ancient Gaga River, which, by the way, a lot of experts think was the legendary Saraswati River you hear about in ancient texts. Okay. So what's the big deal about Kalibangan? Why are we talking about it? Well, it really all comes down to its design. We're about to look at this incredible urban blueprint that basically organized every aspect of life there thousands and thousands of years ago. Now, take a look at this list. It sounds like the sales brochure for some fancy, modern, planned community, doesn't it? A perfect gridiron layout, a fortified citadel, and a lower town. Streets aligned perfectly north, south, east, and west. Oh, and an advanced, covered drainage system. Plus, houses with their own private wells and courtyards. But nope, this isn't a modern suburb. This is Kalibangan, thousands of years ago. And let's just talk about the scale of this for a second. We're talking main roads that were up to 7.2 meters wide. That's, over 23 feet? That's wide enough for two-way traffic of their carts. And honestly, it's wider than a lot of the residential streets we have today. This was not an accident. This was pure engineering. And this is where it gets really brilliant. You can see the planning in action. The city had a clear hierarchy for its streets. It wasn't random. The main roads were built using precise mathematical ratios based on the smaller residential lanes. You can see it right there. The narrow lanes were 1.8 meters, and the bigger roads were perfect multiples of that, 3.6, 5.4, all the way up to 7.2 meters. I mean, that level of precision in civil engineering, for that time period, it's just mind-blowing. So the city itself was split very neatly into two main parts, built on these mounds. Over on the west, you had the citadel. Think of this as the VIP section, fortified, raised up high. It was probably for the elite rulers and for major ceremonies. We know this because they found raised platforms with fire altars there. Then, to the east, you had the lower town. This was the sprawling residential area, the commercial hub, where everybody else lived in these super well-organized grid-pattern homes. Okay. So we've got the city layout down. It's organized, it's impressive, but what was it actually like to live there? What did people do all day? Let's step inside the city walls and try to get a feel for their daily life and their rituals. You know, one of the most incredible finds at Kalibangan, and this is a big one, is the world's earliest known plowed field. We're talking dating back to around 2800 BCE. This isn't just a cool fact about farming. This is evidence of the kind of innovation that could actually sustain an entire civilization. And get this, they weren't just plowing in straight lines. They had this genius system. Archaeologists found a grid of furrows, with one set running at a right angle to the other. Why? Well, this simple pattern allowed them to practice multi-cropping. That means they could grow two different crops in the same field at the very same time. It's so simple, so elegant, and just an incredibly smart way to get the most out of their land. Back inside the city, particularly up in that citadel area, archaeologists found these really unique structures, fire altars. What are they? Well, they were these pits, often lined up in a row, and they were filled with ash and charcoal. And their location, up on these special raised platforms, it strongly suggests they were used for religious rituals. It's possible they even involved animal sacrifice. This is one of our best windows into the spiritual life of these people. And the sophistication, it just keeps going. It didn't stop with city planning and farming. You see it everywhere, in their beautiful terracotta artifacts, like bangles and these tiny, intricate seals. In their pottery, which came in 6 completely distinct styles, or fabrics, as the experts call them. We've even found evidence that they traded with faraway places like Mesopotamia. Their burial practices were complex, and this one is wild. They found skulls with holes drilled in them, trepanned skulls, which suggest they were performing some kind of early brain surgery. Just wow. So you might be asking, how in the world do we know all this stuff about a city that was totally lost for thousands of years? Well, that brings us to the modern-day detective story of how it was rediscovered. Really, we have a few key people to thank for this. It all started back in 1919 with an Italian scholar, Luigi Pio Tessitore. He was the first one to spot the ruins and think, hey, there's something prehistoric here. Then, after India gained independence, an archaeologist named Amlanand Ghosh confirmed its link to the huge Harappan civilization. But the real heavy lifting was done by B.B. Lal. He led this massive 9-year excavation, starting in 1960, that really uncovered the city and all its treasures for the world to see. But all of this leads us to the biggest mystery of all, doesn't it? If Kalibangan was so advanced, so successful, why isn't it still here? Where did it go? The answer, it turns out, lies with the very same thing that gave the city life in the first place.
So, after centuries of being this bustling, thriving metropolis, sometime around 1750 BCE, the city just went quiet. The streets emptied. The people left. The entire city was just abandoned.
So what happened? The city died because its river died. Simple as that. The Gagar, the river that was their lifeblood, the source of their water, their crops, their entire existence, it just dried up. A massive change in the environment brought this incredible civilization right to its knees. And that, right there, leaves us with a pretty powerful thought to end on. See, the story of Kalibangan isn't just about the ancient past. It's a warning. It's a cautionary tale for us. If a changing climate and a disappearing river could literally wipe a great city off the map 4,000 years ago, what does that say about the vulnerabilities of our own massive cities today?